So we'll begin with taking refuge in generating bodhicitta, reciting 3 times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Over to you, Geshe Lhakdor.
Okay, touching the leg. Hope everybody is good and well and happy. And just now we finished reciting this verse, paying homage to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Just as when we are physically ill, we need a physician, a medicine, and a nurse. Especially when you're physically very, very ill, then you need a good doctor and medicine, and then somebody to help you. So when like that, we are mentally ill because of so many of negative emotions. So in order to help us cure these negative emotions, we need the physician like the Buddha, and the medicine like the teaching, and the one that is like the Sangha, one that is like the nurse is the Sangha. Okay, that's very, very important. Now, normally, I might have mentioned this earlier. Normally, when one takes refuge in someone else, we do so because we have some fear, some confusion, which we are unable to solve. Therefore, we take refuge in someone else, take their, support. So similarly, in this case, when we say I take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, it means you have a problem. So you need to recognize this problem. What is your problem? Here in this case, we are not taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for shortage of money or shortage of food, or you are being bullied by some other people, or there is exploitation, or the government is not good. Not because of that. We are taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha because you are not doing very well because of the presence of strong negative emotions within you. So the first thing that we need to do, whether you study Lamrim or whether you study mind training or whatever kind of practices you do, the first thing that you need to is to understand that I am doing this practice to help myself and help all sentient beings. And the one that obstructs you not being able to do that is the negative emotions that is present within you. Okay. So just with that, you need to do a lot of homework. You need to find out about your own emotions. Are you an angry person? Are you somebody having excessive attachment to things? Are you somebody who develops jealousy to others? So you need to find that out. There's not much like, if you are sick, go to the doctor and then doctor gives you the medicine, you need to eat it. It's no good that the doctor just read you the medical prescription and you don't eat the medicine. It is of no use if you go to a fancy hotel, read the menu, and don't eat anything, right? So similarly, these prescriptions, these teachings are to help us lessen, if possible, remove completely. If not, that is not easy, but at least recognize some of the negative emotions, especially those that has a very strong predominant presence within you, and then try to lessen them. That is called Dharma practice. If you don't do that, doesn't matter you visit the temple 100,000 times. Okay, you circumambulate around the temple 100,000 times, you do prostration 100,000 times. I mean, you can do that. It'll give you some feel good, practice. but that is not real Dharma practice. The real Dharma practice is not necessarily go to a fancy, temple or things like that. Your body is your temple. You need to, your brain is your laboratory. So just like a scientist, you need to open this laboratory and see what emotions are useful, what emotions are not useful. Just use your common sense. Common sense and also based on your personal experience. Recall those experiences, those occasions when you got very angry, very wild. Recall those moments. Do you now rejoice and happy that you have done that earlier with somebody? Right? So these negative emotions, when they arise, you become the first target. When some other people, bully you, exploit you, harm you, yes, you suffer, but they may have some purpose to serve. But in the case of the negative emotions, their only job is to harm you, and they have no any other purpose. So therefore, these negative emotions are your sworn enemy. You call it psychology, you call it Buddhist teaching, you call it common sense, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, when you do practice, you need to find out two things. Study those emotions that arise within you, positive emotions and negative emotions. Then also examine your speech, your physical activities, your actions, and your mental thinking. Watch these three outlets or doors based on which you engage various activities, the physical, verbal, and mental. Okay? Then do whatever you like. If you want to do good things, do. If you want to do bad things, do. But then at the same time, if you do bad things, you should ready to face the consequences also. So it is not enough just to say, I want to do everything that I do everything that I like. Yes, you have that right. Do everything, yes. But at the same time, remember that you want happiness and not want suffering. So many of these many of these emotions, many of these activities that we do bring a lot of suffering, a lot of problem. So if you want to do all those stupid, silly things, you have every right to do it. But as I said, you should be ready to face the consequences also. If you want to fight with somebody, fight, yes. Then be ready to face the consequences of going to a jail or being killed or whatever. So that's the thing. I mean, if you look at the nature also, within the nature, there are good things, there are bad things. Some of them are very useful. We call them medicine and we eat it. Then there are also things which we call poison, which if you eat, you will die. So therefore, we don't eat poison. So therefore, in Buddhism, these emotions in general, especially the three poisons, what we call three poisons, the hatred, attachment, ignorance, these are called poison, three poisons. So listen it. If you want to be happy, practice the teaching. If you want to lessen your suffering, practice teaching. If you want happiness in this life, practice these teachings. If you want happiness for many lives to come or many years to come, practice these teachings. Right? So therefore, the other day we have started reading the text where we discuss, in order to practice, you got very special opportunity today. You are born as a human being with all these facilities, which primarily means that you have this capacity to think and plan for the long-term happiness and well-being. You have that opportunity. Okay. So with that regard, I don't remember very well. We read the first two lines maybe. Then the third, if I have not read it, I'll read it. The third point says, the fleeting human life, already short in this drug age, is wasted when spent on pointless activities. So this in Hindi we call it Kali Yuga. So this short life of this time of degeneration. This time is called time of degeneration. The sentient beings are degenerated, and afflictive emotions also degenerated. Now here degenerated means not like degeneration of sentient being, degeneration of time, degeneration of life, the span of life, degeneration of view, philosophical view. Okay, in terms of, for example, in terms of negative emotion, the negative emotion is very, very rough, very, very manifest in this time of degeneration. And in the case of sentient beings, the primary thing about employing the negative emotions, practice the negative emotions, not other things. Not much about Dharma teaching and things like that. Okay. So anyway, in this time of degeneration, time is degeneration, not that, good, but still you are born as a human being. So time of degeneration means it's a difficult time, which we are now seeing all around. But if you do something good during the difficult time, then the practice has bigger positive consequences. Right? And then it says, you've obtained this precious human life, but this is too short. Very short. That means there's not much time to do the Dharma practice. So therefore, instead of doing these meaningful practices, whether you call it Dharma practice or not, but the important thing is what he's saying is, if you don't do those good things which you should be doing, then you are wasting your life, wasting this short life. Short life. A very rare opportunity. One Tibetan master, he said, not being able to do Dharma practice 20 years past, that means when you are a child, then 20 to 40 age, you think I'll do Dharma practice, you're not able to do. So 40 years passed like that. And then next 20 years, 40 to 60, you will say, I could not do Dharma practice, And this is the empty biography or life story of a human being, which is absolutely true. And in terms of doing something good, we have this habit of postponing. Yes, I need to do this, but I'll do when I retire. Yes, I need to do this meditation, but I'll do it when I've enjoyed my Sunday and Saturday holidays. Right? So you keep on postponing. Because of laziness, you are unable to do. So there are many types of laziness. One laziness is not being able to do. There's the laziness that we normally understand. Then there's another laziness which is called laziness of being attached to other things, either less important things, going to a cinema or going for this, that, and things like that. This is also kind of laziness from the practice of the Dharma teaching. Okay. Then laziness of looking down upon yourself, thinking that, oh, this Dharma teaching is so good, but I'm not intelligent, I have not much time, I can't do it. So you discourage yourself. Okay. Then, as I already mentioned, laziness of procrastination. I'll do it, but next month. I'll do it, but next year. How are you sure that you are going to live here next month or next year? Even tomorrow. Right? So therefore, it is not good. It is really not good. At least every day, every morning when you get up, you should develop this recognition that I'm lucky, I'm born as a human being, I'm able to wake up. Don't take it for granted. I'm lucky. So therefore, I will today, whatever job I have to do, whatever work I have to do, I will do it with the motivation to be of some benefit to other people. That is Dharma practice. That's Dharma practice. Right? Then at the close of the day, just before sleeping, you should again review whether you managed to live up to your promise or not. If you had, then rejoice. Okay, I'll continue tomorrow and the next days. If you have failed, then you should say, sorry, I failed today, but I will improve. Okay. So it's important to remind yourself with this kind of thing. So that Dharma practice is really not like a metaphysical, kind of thinking and talking, which has no relevance to your life. Okay. This is especially so in need in today's world, where people are completely attracted by the external happenings. Go to some of these so-called developed countries. At a sudden glance, it looks attractive. Everybody wears smart shoes, smart clothes, carries a smart bag, and then talking over the phone and look smart, look smart, right? Running here and there, looks so busy, so active, so efficient. But if you think carefully, there is loneliness, there is depression, there is low self-esteem. People are really not sure what they are doing. They are doing only to survive, not to live. To survive, in order to survive, you need to get money. And then also because of your greed, you need more money so that you can buy all these fancy things that is flooding in the market. So it is really like important to ask the question, what is it that you really need? How much is how much? Even if you're Elon Musk or Bill Gates or whoever, very rich people, how much they can eat? The size of stomach is same. Their size of stomach and our size of stomach is same. Not only that, but when you become very rich, you can't eat much. When you're poor and hardworking, perspiring, you eat much. You eat even this, ordinary food like the rice and the lentil. You really enjoy, and you are able to digest it very easily. The richer people, they are now unable to digest food. They can't eat much. This is called law of karma. This is called law of karma. In Tibet, when we used to live in Tibet, also we say, oh, aristocratic food. That means hot water. For drink, hot water. They can't drink sweet tea or salty tea. This is not good for this, that, you can't eat. If you don't believe me, just watch. Okay. So you can't eat. And then how many different types of clothes you can wear? Even if you change your clothes every 3 hours, because we are stupid, we think it's great, but actually it's a mockery, subject of ridicule, right? So I'm really not jealous of any of these so-called famous rich people. But what I'm saying is, if you are looking for long-lasting peace and happiness, that is not the way. That is not the way. The way to peace and happiness is developing a right perspective, right attitude, right way of thinking that conforms to the law of nature. When I say right perspective, I'm not saying that you should all become Buddhists or anything like that. Whether everybody becomes Buddhist or not become Buddhist, I have nothing to do with that as an individual person. But what we all expect as a Buddhist, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, we expect everybody happy, be peaceful. So in order to have that more reliable happiness and peace, you need to change your perspective, your way of thinking, your attitude, an attitude that conforms to the reality. That's the point. All these teachings are pointing to that, conforms to the reality. Reality means impermanence. Change, that is reality. It's not made by Buddha. Suffering is reality. It's not made by Buddha. Interdependent origination, reality, not made by Buddha. Right? Then the destructive emotions harming us, positive emotions helping us. Law of nature. So we need to simply sit down and recognize those laws of nature, how your mind functions, how your perspective changes. If your perspective, attitude is good, wherever you go, everything looks beautiful, wonderful, amazing. Even if it is raining, wonderful. Even if it is sunshine, wonderful. Even if people are laughing at you, wonderful. If people are not laughing at you, wonderful. Who cares? Right? You're not a puppet, that dances at the tune of other people, Unfortunately, today people don't just take care of themselves, don't try to recognize their own potential, but instead they try to, live their life in accordance with the demands of the society. If I wear this kind of cloth, what people will think? If I put this kind of hairstyle, what people will think? So according to what people need, you fashion yourself. That is so stupid. And we don't have the courage to be yourself. So the first rule of the game to happiness is be yourself. Use your own potential, your talent, do those things that you like to do, Don't be ruled by other people, and be happy, be independent. That's what this Buddhist teachings are teaching. So therefore, here also he says, this life that we often during this time of degeneration, Kali Yuga, is very short. It's fleeting. When you are sleeping, time does not sleep. It goes on. Right? It goes on. We had 4 sessions of teaching, and 2 Sundays are already gone. This is the 3rd Sunday. Right? So it goes like that. So therefore, having found such precious human life that has such potential, such capacity to do good things, if you waste this by doing small, meaningless activities, it's a great waste. It's a great loss. It's a really great loss. Right? So therefore, don't do that. That is his advice. I mean, life is short, especially in during this time. This time is called time of degeneration, where there's so much external interventions, internal hindrances, right? And sometimes hundreds and thousands of people die together, just as it happened during the COVID-19, you see, or during the Spanish flu. Hundreds and thousands of people die. Why? Because today, as I said, we live in the time of degeneration. What we do is motivated by negative emotion. What we do is motivated by selfish attitude. Because of this, you don't care what is happening to others. You don't care that you are contributing towards the pollution of a big city. Now the pollution in New Delhi, it's a talk of the town right now. Even with a lot of restrictions, it's not improving. Why? Because individuals are not sincerely participating in it, supporting it. The constructors of the buildings will say, oh, I don't care whether it's polluting or not. I need to finish this building. That's the attitude. So still we call ourselves intelligent human beings. Where is your intelligence? Not being able to deal with even this pollution. You are not able to do this because you have only intelligence, but that intelligence you have is corrupted intelligence. It is not wisdom. It is not intelligence supported by compassion. It is not intelligence supported by responsibility for others. Therefore, not only other people suffer, you being the part of the community, you are also suffering. This is a kind of classic example that you can see now in big cities like Delhi. You see? So today we are living in a way where it's really the question of similar like the do and die kind of thing. Do and die together. So we all need to not just thinking about one's temporary benefit. Right? So without this fundamental basic qualities like care, concern, self-responsibility, if these things are not there, you can never be happy. 100% sure. 100% sure. I remember once reading that somebody wrote there's a big board sign at the entrance of an African university where somebody wrote saying that if you don't have morality, then you will have builders whose buildings after construction will very soon collapse, and you will produce doctors in whose hand hundreds and thousands of patients will die. Right? As simple as that, you see. The whole country. And then that person summarizes it by saying, if you want to destroy a country, you don't need an enemy outside to come and destroy you. If you don't have this basic morality, sense of responsibility, the country will go to the dust. So there's a very important reason to develop this awakening. Awakening means awareness. What is happening? What is your responsibility? What is your duty as a human being? As His Holiness beautifully summarizes in his 4 commitments. He says, as a human being, you should take the responsibility of the whole humanity around the globe. Whatever little contribution you can make it. Take that responsibility as a human being. Don't say that I'm a Tibetan, so I have no responsibility in other countries. Yes, it is true that there may be not much you can do, but at least mentally you should support the good ones, not support the bad ones, things like that. Mentally, at least. So take that responsibility as a human being. We are all human beings, so share the same planet. So take that responsibility, each of us, for the greater goodness of the whole world, not just one small country, okay, one small nation. Then second, most of us follow one or the other religion, right? So as a religious person, we should promote religious harmony. And it's stupid to say which religion is best. It's like picking just one tablet of medicine and asking the question which medicine is best, or saying that this tablet is the best medicine. How can you say this tablet of medicine is the best? That medicine which cures your individual illness is the best medicine, but because of that, you cannot say this medicine is good for others who are suffering from different kind of illnesses. So the message of all the major religious traditions in the world are same. So develop respect. So even if you say I'm a Buddhist or I'm a Christian and things like that, but if you don't practice the messages of those teachings, instead of these teachings benefiting you, you will misuse the religion and fight a so-called religious war. It has happened all the time. So if your attitude and your way of thinking is wrong, religion become dirty religion, politics become dirty politics, everything will become dirty. Artificial intelligence will also become dirty. It will be misused, as we are already doing. Right? Right? And then thirdly, I am a Tibetan, so I need to do something for my country. And if you're Russian, of course you have to do something for your country. If you're Jewish, of course you have to do something for your country. Right? So now in order to successfully do all this, we need to come up with an ethics, which is universal, not based on any particular religion. We need to study the emotions and find out which emotions are destructive, which emotions are constructive. Okay. And then whatever you do in your life, use your brain. Reason out whether this is good for you, not good for you. Think, use your brain. Don't follow things blindly. That is the teaching that His Holiness summarizes when he makes his 4 commitments. Right? So this is exactly the same that is being said here, You have obtained this precious human life, you can't waste this. And you need to do it as soon as possible. You can't postpone. You may postpone, but the imminence of death will not postpone it. When we are alive, we are very good in making appointments. Okay, I'm going to meet this person at 2 p.m., this person. I mean, this is what I do all the time these days. But the Lord of Death will not seek your appointment. It will strike like a lightning anytime. You cannot say, I'm not going to die because I'm young or healthy. You cannot, there is also no guarantee that the old man of 90 years old will die quicker. No, there are people who remain in coma for several years. So there's no definiteness. So therefore, seize this moment. Don't make excuses by saying, I have no time. I know you have time. You have time for many other things. Why not for spiritual practice? So don't make these excuses. If you make these excuses, you are fooling yourself, and you are not taking care of yourself. As simple as that. And then remember, I am not saying that Buddhism is best, you should become a Buddhist, nothing like that. That's up to you to choose. But these universal messages, we should all accept. Their life is short. This is true. And this age is called age of degeneration, Kali Yuga. True. Right? Right? So this is true. Okay. So therefore, meaningless activity here means trying to do away with your enemy, spending too much time looking after so-called relatives. Relatives, yes, relatives, friends, parents, you have to look after, but they are also, you need to maintain some distance. You need to see what you are doing for your relatives is good for you, good for others, or is just the work of appeasement, right? So don't, and then also making profit, doing business, this, that, Yes, you need to do something for your survival, but many of these activities that you're doing are meaningless, actually. Meaningless. Going up, going down, getting distracted, we see so many people. If you go to the Western countries, people have no time. They're always running. This is how they spend their life. In India, people have a lot of time, spend so much time gossiping. Right? I mean, this may not be true with everybody, but generally speaking, we have so much time. So don't waste your time in meaningless gossiping, idle chatter. If you want to really open your mouth, then open your mouth and recite some prayers, mantras, which is inspiring. This gossips will be of no benefit to you. Talk about something that inspires you. If you don't like the thing called mantra or prayer, then read some of the great sayings by great people. Some of these sayings, just one line, will inspire you and transform you, change you completely. All right? I've started publishing, many of these sayings and then putting it in a nice board so that everybody can come and read. Inspirations are needed. Okay? So don't get distracted for meaningless small activities. And if you do that, then what is the difference between you and the pig? What is the difference between you and the dog? Not only there's not much difference, but you are doing much worse than the pig and the dog, to be honest. The pollutions that we are seeing in big cities, for example, are these pollutions created by dogs? Are these pollutions created by tigers, lions, or mosquitoes? They are created by the so-called intelligent human beings. See, intelligent, yes, we are intelligent, but because we had no heart, no sense of responsibility, then your intelligence become corrupted intelligence. In Buddhism, we call it that intelligence which is supported by negative emotions, we call it corrupted intelligence. The intelligence is corrupted. You think only about yourself. You clean your room and throw the garbage in the street. That's what we do. It's really shameful, really shameful. So we are worse than animals, actually, to be honest. So don't think that you are a special creation of a divine being. If you are a special creation, you should be really special. It doesn't look like you are a special creation. So if we live such a life, then your life is also not precious human life, as is said in Buddhism. So make your life meaningful, make your life precious in the true sense of the term. That is why we are studying this Dharma. Right? The example that is given here is, for example, if you are visiting some place where you're going to spend one night, but if you make plan to live 100 years in that place, that is ludicrous, right? This is what he's saying here. It's not sure how long you're going to live. So why you are planning to live for 100 years? We do plan for live for 100 years. Yes, when it comes to doing something good, you want to be healthy, you want to live long, you pray that you live long. That is because you are doing good. But our actual span of life is very short, right? So if you plan to live 100 years and never think about death, that means you will develop more attachment and obsession with things. I need this, I need that, I need this for next year, for next month, things like that. You keep on accumulating things. And when you are so much obsessed with things, you have so much attachment to things, then confrontation will come, enemies will come, fight will come, right? Divisions will come. The countries that are, at loggerheads, countries that are fighting right now because of territory, because of oil, things like, you see, right? So therefore, it is important to uh, think about impermanence, think about death. And when you do that sincerely and honestly, your door to Dharma practice just opens up. Your practice will come automatically. If you think about this one thing, impermanence and death, the indefiniteness of death, that it can come anytime, it will strike anytime. If you had thought this properly and this thinking has sunk into your brain, into your mind, your life will be completely transformed. Your attachment will be lessened, your hatred, anger will lessen, your jealousy will lessen, all negative emotions will come down. Because if you're, for example, if you're going to die tomorrow, why should you create enemy with anybody? If you're going to die tomorrow, why should you develop so much obsession and attachment with your relatives and things? Right? So think about this very carefully. Door to Dharma. So therefore, prepare to live, not prepare to live means Leave. Prepare to live, but not to stay long, not to live here forever. So apart from meaningful spiritual practice, all these worldly activities, as much as possible, try to reduce it. The worldly activities will come to an end if you stop it. If you don't stop it, it will never come to an end. Because by profession, I'm a translator, so sometimes people come to me and ask me to translate something, maybe a book or something like that. Then they tell me that you are going to get this much money if you translate this book, and this is the deadline. Then I say, please take your deadline with you. I don't want to do anything within the deadline. Of course, I have no time, and also I don't like the word deadline, because before meeting the deadline, I will be a dead person. So don't be tempted. Everybody needs money, but don't be tempted by money and other material offerings. You're going to become a slave. All right, do those things which you really like to do. And I tell people when they ask me, do this, do that, I'll say, okay, if you need my help, I help you, but don't expect that it will be done tomorrow or the next day. Right from the beginning, I tell them, if you have no patience to wait, then take it away. Make it very clear. So you need to learn to say no to things that you can't do. Say Learn to say no politely. Don't just accept too many things and not being able to do even one thing. That's not good for your health also. Okay? So all these volatile activities, if you keep on running, in the end, you will see there's not much that you are achieving. Right? So therefore, it is important to meditate on impermanence. So this line is talking about the need to meditate on impermanence. Then the fourth, your mind, whose unconstructed nature is dharmakaya, is wasted by sinking into the muddy swim of samsaric delusions. Meaning that if you think about your mind, it is in the nature of dharmakaya. Dharmakaya means the truth body. Dharmakaya means the truth body. In other words, it's the reality, ultimate reality, without any fabrication. If you look at the deepest nature of your mind, which is called clear light mind, it is free from any fabrication. All the potential, capacities, potentials lie there. So he's saying, understand this basic, powerful, human, ultimate nature of your mind. I think I mentioned earlier, this clear light mind, this sharpest, strongest, clearest mind that you have is really like the nucleus of the atom. Very, very powerful. In physical matters, you have the nucleus of the atom from which we create nuclear energy. It's a packet of energy so strong. Similarly, you have this packet of energy within your mind, which is called clear light mind. So we are forget about being able to use it. We are not even able to touch it so far. Because we let ourselves completely controlled by the dictates of the senses. See something beautiful, listen to something melodious, and smell something that is fragrant, touch something that is soft, see something that's beautiful, taste something that is delicious. We just, today people are saying, I'm very busy, busy, busy for what? You are busy running, chasing the sensual objects. So therefore, one very important practice that you need to do if you want to prosper in your life is restrain the senses. Don't let them go wild. All these pollutions that we see today, just to give a concrete present example, all these pollutions that we see today is because we did not put any restraint on the senses. The senses are running wild. And it is because of the dictates of the senses, people are also becoming wild. They just construct big malls, do this, do that, to just appease the senses, to satisfy the senses. And while trying to satisfy the senses, while remaining very busy dealing with the dictates and the needs of the senses, we have no time to look within ourselves. We have no time to look at our mental consciousness, the state of our mind. So it's really like a person who has a beautiful house, but has no time to live in that house because he's running outside. Because he's running outside. And you run outside so much for months on, you run outside chasing the sensual objects. This is like a person, as I said, traveling to many, many countries and not attending your own beautiful house. And after 4 or 5 months, when you come back, you will find that your house is dilapidating. It has collected dust. It has collected cobwebs. No fit for staying, no fit for living. It's like that. We chase out the dictates of the senses so much, we never think about what is happening in your mind. You never have an opportunity to cultivate and develop your mind. So all the problems that we see in the world today is a clear indication of starvation of human mind. As simple as that. So dharma practice means now don't starve your mind, feed it. Just like for the body we need food, similarly for the mind, the food is spiritual practice. The food is spiritual practice, right? Food is spiritual practice. As we say, we have this saying, empty mind is devil's workshop. This is exactly true. Devil's workshop, right? So therefore, if you want to change your society, change your community, change your family, and be happy, the only way is change your way of thinking, change your mental attitude, right? So therefore, this line is saying, your mind, whose unconstructed nature, unconstructed, he has used the word unconstructed, but I would use the word unfabricated, mind without elaboration. Your mind, whose unconstructed nature, your basic nature is just luminous and cognitive, nothing else. It's no fabrication, no elaboration. But when the mental consciousness becomes gross, meaning that when it starts chasing the object, the sound, the body, and the smell, and things like that, then fabrication, 100,000 things that you see around are elaborations created by the stupid mind. But if you look at the original mind, it's unfabricated. It's just like a big, waveless ocean. So that's what he's saying. So you need to recognize this. So he's saying that having this basic nature within yourself, you don't have to go to some other place to get it. This amazing, beautiful, luminous, cognitive nature of mind, the nature of the mind is there within yourself. But you are oblivious to it. And you have wasted it, you have lost it by sinking into the muddy swim of samsaric delusions. Samsaric delusions. These activities that we do in the samsara is like stepping into a muddy water. You get stuck there, your feet get stuck there in that muddy, pond or water, whatever, right? You get stuck. We do have, occasionally, we do develop some aspirations to do some good things, do some spiritual practice, but we are not able to do it because you are surrounded by this muddy river of the samsaric activities. You are pulled into all directions. Your so-called friends will come obstruct your practice. Your so-called not good neighbors or enemies will come obstruct your practice. So unless you become a little bit, brave, to do dharma practice, you need to have some confidence, some integrity to be able to come forth and do differently. This is really talking about almost like inner revolution. You're going to do something which majority of the people today are not able to do. So there you need some courage. And if you do that, that is the real courage. Your real hero, as Nagarjuna says in his letter to the friend, he beautifully says in one verse where he says, those who go to the battlefield and gain victory over the enemy, they are not the real hero. But those who gain control over the dictates of the 6 or 5 senses, they are the real hero. Right? So, to really become hero is not going to into the battlefield, but it's controlling your senses, your negative emotions. To do that, you need to have some determination, some courage, and do differently from other people. Even in worldly activities also, if you do what everybody is doing, you will never become a specialist or anything. You need to do things differently, make new initiatives like that. So in doing Dharma practice also, number one, you need to be very happy thinking that I got this amazing opportunity, which not everybody has. How many people are there who are listening to the Dharma teachings? Millions are there who are not listening. They have so many other stupid things to do. They have no time. So you're lucky. We are lucky, you see. So you need to rejoice recognize this great potential. And you are able to do that because of your past lives, amazing karmic activities. It is not just coincidence. You need to recognize that also and be happy. And with a happy mind, you can do this practice very easily. But if you don't have this appreciation, if you don't have this happiness, but because others are going, you just join, I mean, it's okay, it's your right, but that will not have much impact. Right? Then, as we already discussed, the reality is we are all going to suffer, we are all going to get sick, we are all going to die, you know. So what is the treatment for those ills? And many of these physical illnesses are because of mental illnesses. Now it is not just Buddhist teachings are saying, it is repeatedly said through the scientific findings also. People who have this inner resources, they don't get sick. For example, in my case also, to give a concrete example, I hardly get sick. Not because I do yoga and do all those kind of activities, things like that. I hardly do. I mean, I'm not saying this is a good thing I should do, but I think the reason that I'm relatively good, healthy is because of, I think, Dharma practice. Also not saying that I'm a great Dharma practitioner, but at least I'm attuned to it. On and off, I'm in touch with the Dharma. I think it is because of this. Right from the birth, I am in touch with the Dharma because Tibet was a Buddhist country, 98, 99% Buddhist. So there is so much appreciation about the Buddhist teaching. Then met so many great teachers, right? So somehow here and there you constantly come back to the Dharma teaching. So I think that helps me. There's an example, I think. Okay, His Holiness, for example, next year he is 90 years old, but still he's seeing so many people even at this age, and he's giving so much inspiration and always smiling, you know. Some people, some of his attendants, you know, people who work in his office, they told me now at this age, His Holiness is becoming even more gentle than before. He smiles even more than before. He looks so contented, you know, because he did everything that he could do. So there's the thing. There's the thing. This morning I was watching a short documentary where an elderly lady over 90 years, she was interviewed and asked the question, why you look so happy and why you live so long? She said, and what is your advice? And she said, my advice is always be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself and do those things that you really like to do and be active. There's the nuska. There's the advice, you know, right? So it's very important to recognize one's own mind and not let it get stuck in this endless samsaric activities, endless meaningless samsaric activities. These human activities is like the play of small children. They will never come to an end. They'll come to an end only the children stop playing it. But otherwise, the children will always say, I want to continue, I want to continue. I've seen this. Near my office, we have so many children playing every evening. You know, the elders, they have to come and say, now it's time to stop, now it's time to stop. But they want to play all the time. So we are like that. So the incomplete human activities like the beard of an old man. The more you pick it, the more it will grow. All right? Have you seen elderly people always picking the mustache or beard, but never comes to an end? Okay? Mhm. So he's saying that the possibility to realize the ultimate truth, lack of true existence, is there just within yourself. But instead of approaching your own fundamental reality and nature of the mind, you get engrossed with many other things and seeing all those things as having true independent existence, and you got stuck there, right? And nobody says that I'm very happy and enjoying in the samsara. If somebody is saying, that means he has not understood samsara, right? So in another word, he's saying that the Buddha is really there within yourself, but you are not recognizing it. And once somewhere I read a saying which says the most precious thing is hidden within yourself. The God is hidden within yourself. Some people say something like that. So there is a element of similarity between these two, right? So you have this Buddha or Buddha potential within yourself, just within yourself. You don't have to go to America to get this one. You don't have to go to China to get this one. You don't even have to, people like me who live in Dharamsala, you don't even have to go to Delhi to get it. It is here within yourself. It's a pity that we don't try to recognize oneself, but try to, measure the length and the width of the whole globe. I remember His Holiness during one of the scientific meetings long time back. Everybody was talking about discovering this, that, and then His Holiness finally said the greatest discovery that we should make is under this small skull, the brain, the mind that we have, where we are not touching at all. Even neuroscience is the youngest science. So they are taking some baby steps right now, but it's the youngest science. People don't take interest in what is within you. They take interest in what is outside of you, what is visible, what is physical. Non-physical, not much attention. What is within you, no attention. Right? So in this way, you let our mind run after misconceptions of the reality. So this is really like self-torture. In other words, much of the sufferings that we are encountering are kind of our own creation. Our own creation because you are not doing things we should be doing, you are doing things which you should not be doing. Therefore, we are suffering. And we do so because we don't know anything better. We are so familiar with doing the bad things. We are so familiar seeing things as having true independent existence. Something concrete. True existence, when you talk about true existence, oh yeah, this person that I like to love, it is there, yes. You feel comfortable. But if from the Buddhist perspective we say, okay, this person that you love so much has no independent existence, you feel sorry, you feel unhappy. And this indeed happened during one of my public talk in Moscow. When I was teaching something like this, there was a young gentleman, he got up and he asked me this question, Geshe-la, if there's nothing that has independent existence, then how can I love my girlfriend? Because you can love your girlfriend if people say, oh, this is concrete, this your girlfriend will live forever. It's concrete, the beauty is there forever. But is that true? Will the beauty remain there forever? Your girlfriend will never die? Your girlfriend is not a product of many changing causes and conditions. We don't want to think about those reality. We just want to create our own imagined world. We want to live in illusion. That's the problem. We keep on seeing what we want to see, not what we should be seeing. We keep on hearing what we want to hear, not what we should be hearing. Even if somebody is giving an amazing teaching, you will pick only those things which you feel comfortable. So therefore, there is a story of a Tibetan teacher. He was requested to give a teaching. Then he said, are you sure you want to listen to me? Are you sure you want to get a teaching from me? He said, yes, sir, I want your teaching. He said, I have nothing to teach except highlighting your faults. I have nothing to teach except highlighting your problems, your sufferings, your faults. And if you're ready to for that, then sit. I will highlight your fault. Now, how many are there who wants to listen to the teacher who highlights your fault? Normally, you feel comfortable if they say all the good things about you, how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, how agile you are, you know. If there's something else, you feel discouraged, you feel unhappy, you see. But if you want to really change your life and, you know, get the long-lasting peace and happiness, then you should listen to the bitter truth. Karwa Sach, Hindi में बोलता है ना, Karwa Sach, bitter truth. You have to listen to that. When you physically get sick also, you need to swallow those bitter medicines, right? Not only that, you also need to let the doctor to do some physical operation, which may be painful. So, but the Buddhist teaching is doing kind of the same thing, giving you bitter pills, and doing some operation, but that operation is very gentle. So therefore, the Buddhist teaching is said to be a path, peaceful path, leading to peaceful fruit. Right? Okay, so this is really like you're having a very costly, precious gem and jewel within you, right? But you don't recognize this is a very costly, precious gem. And I mean, it's a human nature. It's a human nature. Sometimes we don't recognize it. Sometimes even when we recognize it, we not use it. I mean, forget about the Buddha nature and the things like that. Even in your home, I know you have many precious things that you collected over years. So precious things you put it in a box. Your gold, your jewelry, everything you put in a box. When are you going to use it? Your costly dress, you think I'll use it on a very special occasion. So you're not sure when that special occasion is coming. Use it right now. Enjoy. Okay, I stop here. Some questions?
Geshe, there were some questions in the chat, so I will read them to you. The first one is, Buddhism is sometimes explained as practices to overcome aversion and attachment, and sometimes Buddhism is explained as practices to overcome negative emotions and cultivating positive emotions. How are these two related?
Which one? Sometimes?
Yeah, Buddhism is sometimes explained as practices to overcome aversion and attachment, and sometimes as practices to overcome negative emotions and cultivating positive emotions. And how are these two
Aversion
related?
and attachment, they are negative emotions. There's no contradiction. Aversion, attachment, these are negative emotions. As I mentioned earlier, these negative emotions will harm you. Therefore, we call them negative emotions. So there are emotions which are destructive, which are negative, which will disturb your peace. Therefore, we say reduce them, eliminate them. There are emotions which are helpful, which contributes towards your peace and happiness, harmony. So therefore, we say cultivate it. This is just like saying don't eat poison, eat medicine. Okay, yeah.
Okay, Geshe. And I just want to mention, if anybody else has questions, please raise your virtual hand because there's so many screens, I can't see them all. And then I will unmute you and you can ask Geshe directly. Geshe, there's a few more questions in the chat. So the next question is, this is a person who says that in the last session, they asked you about how to tackle situations in office and in home where the boss or partner are very bossy, they have a bossy attitude, which undermined their personality, causes distractions in practicing the Dharma. And you answered that question. And it satisfied that person's hunger for knowledge. So now the person's asking, but now when I double check those words, which suggested that one should be tough from outside, also to safeguard one's identity. In the course of this practice, should it mean that to maintain one's way of dharma, some lies, some skills to control the other are okay or not?
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. For example, I give you 2 examples. One, if there is a tree which is not crooked, but very straight, so normally we will appreciate or praise that tree. We'll say, oh, this is such a straight tree. It looks so beautiful, right? But if you want a piece of wood to make a saddle for your horse, then that tree will be of no use. You need to get a log of wood which is already crooked. So that means, generally speaking, like that upright and straight tree, you should be honest, but sometimes you need to be a little bit crooked. I mean, with good motivation, but a little bit dubious or crooked, given that particular situation. There is one line in Buddhist teaching which says, whatever you do, you should do it understanding the need and purpose of that situation, that work. Okay. So for some people who are really negative, if you are also not tough, then it will not only harm you, it will also spoil that person. For example, if your husband, let us say your husband is an obsessive drinker, and with gentle advices, if he's not listening, you need to be a little bit tough. Okay, if you want to drink, drink. I'm going to leave you. Something like that, you see. Right? And then the most important thing is, before all this unfortunate things befall or happen upon you, you need to think much in advance. So normally we don't think. That's what I was saying. Use your brain. So normally we don't use our brain. We run after temptations. Oh, this man looks nice, I'll marry him. This girl looks beautiful, I will marry her. And you hastily, quickly marry that person. Then you get, later on, you get all these problems. Look at the conflicts that we see in the world today. These are a result of not dealing with those solutions much in advance. Right in the beginning, when the problem was about to come, if the concerned leaders have sat down and discussed, and agreed that there is a problem cropping up, let us sit down before it becomes big, let us sit down and solve it, it is easily solved. We don't do that. We don't do that. And then later on, all the problems are there, then say, how can we solve this? Then it's quite late, actually. But still, there are ways that if you are not able to live with such boss or such a husband or something like that, you try your best, but still it's not working, then why you have to stay with that person? Leave that person. What is it that makes you stay with that person? Attachment? Obsession? What? Right? Okay.
And then there's the same person had another question, which is in Vipassana or Anapanasati practice, after checking way of mind, very few moments come when there is like no mind. At first, only absolute silence exists. From that, I return empty-handed. Could you please guide for the unanswered answers from the self?
When you do Vipassana meditation, you are seeing the ultimate nature of that object, be it your mind, be it an external object, you are trying to see the ultimate reality, which means the shunyata. That's the main object of vipassana meditation. Vipassana is translated into English as special insight. That means gaining special insight into the nature of ultimate reality, right? So when you meditate like that, and then when you analyze that object, whether it has independent existence or not, and then gradually you won't find anything having independent existence, then there you experience some kind of vacuity, some kind of emptiness. I think you may be talking about that, right? So there you need to focus, let your mind just stay on that without grasping, without clinging anything, simply focus on the absence of independent existence. You are not affirming anything, you are not negating anything, you know, having searched whether the object has any independent existence or not, you are not able to find it, not being able to find it, just on that state, you need to meditate. Okay.
Thank you, Geshe. There's another question. It says, with regard to mundane actions and making business, how to create enough merit and conditions to devote to dharma studies and meditation more, because staying and studying in Dharamsala requires money and absence from work. While in Europe, I share emotional hygiene pro bono, therefore must also work and make money, being pretty involved in mundane activities to be able to frequent Dharamsala. Try to do all this with bodhicitta and bringing everything to the path. I'm not getting younger, and it is going on for 10 years, so it is quite exhausting. Sorry for asking personal question. Thank you very much in advance for precious advice.
No, asking personal question is very important. We are doing all this practice to solve personal problems, right? So that's absolutely okay. And also, don't think that it's only Dharamsala where you can do Dharma practice. Okay, Dharamsala may be from a distance, it looks very fantastic. His Holiness is here. So people get attracted to it. But this does not mean to say that it's only Dharamsala where you can do Dharma practice. You can do Dharma practice anywhere in the world. And especially in today's age, you just switch on your television and you can listen to all of His Holiness teachings that he has given in the past so many years. Similarly, so many other teachers, their teachings are available. So occasionally listen to them, and then whichever teaching you think is really like makes sense, practice it. Practice it. And then of course, mundane activities, we all do mundane activities, not just you, we all do mundane activities because we are not able to develop renunciation. So it's mundane basically. But at the same time, with positive motivation, all your so-called mundane activities, ordinary activities will also become dharma practice, right? Because if you earn money, then not just for yourself, but when you in the process of earning the money, you live harmoniously with all your co-workers, huh? And live harmoniously with your family members, and you're helping them with good motivation, be it your family member or anybody, that's dharma practice. And then occasionally, you don't need to come to Dharamsala or to other distant places. Just in your own home, do your practice and meditation at least 5-10 minutes in the morning, 5-10 minutes in the evening, and then occasionally get like half-day practice or 1 day practice or 3 days practice. Go for a retreat like that, where you spend your time reading books, reflecting, thinking, and then try to change change and transform your attitude. That is Dharma practice. That's Dharma practice. And in fact, one teacher, your question reminded me one teaching by, I think it was Marba Lozawa, the teacher of the famous yogi Milarepa. I think it was Marba, who said, if you practice, even if you live in your own house, lead a household life, there is liberation, there is freedom. If you don't practice, Even if you stay high up in the mountain and isolate yourself, there is no dharma practice. Just like the marmot, the animal marmot, which stays up in the mountain and hibernates there and sleeps for 6 months at a stretch, but there's no liberation nirvana for that that animal. So, okay.
There's one more
Okay.
question, Geshe-la. It says, "Hi, Geshe-la. Your wisdom makes me smile because I know you speak the truth. Geshe-la, do you think that people hide their shame by doing shameful actions? Please clarify for me how to use the brain to turn self-shame and shameful actions into the opposite of shamefulness."
Yeah, at least if you're ashamed, that means you want to improve, right? Because of not to have to face that shame in public, you do shameful activities alone. There are many people do like that. It's not you're not alone. Many people they do many things. In public, they all look nice, but in private, they do many things, which we all do, unfortunately. But at least you have some sense of shame. Therefore, you are not making it public. That is good enough. But then gradually, by seeing the uselessness of doing those shameful activities, you should stop doing it in private also. When it comes to doing dharma practice, there is no question about doing it publicly or privately. It has to be done in all situations, right? And in fact, having some sense of shame and some sense of concern for others, this is said to be uh, the sustainer of the world. The world is sustained by sense of shame and sense of concern for others. If there's no sense of shame, no sense of concern for others, then people can do anything, right? Okay.
Those were all the questions in English for today, Geshe-la. And since Natasha is not here, I'm sorry, the Russian students can't ask the questions.
Okay.
And
If there's no question, it means I'm doing a pretty good job. Okay.
So Geshe-la, if you like, then you can recite the dedication prayers.
What?
To recite our dedication prayers, Geshe-la. And just to remind everyone, next week will be our last session for the series.
Okay. So I'll do the prayer. May we be able to cultivate the precious bodhicitta which we have not cultivated. May we are able to further strengthen and enhance the bodhicitta that we have cultivated. May all sentient beings meet with happiness and the cause of happiness, and be away from the suffering and the causes of suffering. And may we all abide in equanimity and live in harmony. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for amazing, precious teachings. And see you next week. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. See you all next week. And we
So
hope
it looks
Natasha will be
like
here.
to finish this text, we are going to have, 3-4 years. Just to explain this little text, I'm digressing so much. Sorry.
Geshe-la, I think it's all part of the teaching. And
I hope
as
so.
yes, and as you very kindly offered, so Geshe-la mentioned before the class started that since there's no way we're going to get, make a dent in this text by next week, Geshe-la is considering continuing in 2025 when his schedule has some time, maybe April onwards. So let's pray that those causes manifest.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Geshe-la. Good night,
You.
and
Good
bye-bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye-bye.